Well, this study basically suggests that as the U.S. moves towards a cleaner energy grid, we could see a really big drop in greenhouse gases from wastewater treatment plants.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. How big of a drop are we talking?
Pretty significant. The study suggests that emissions from these plants could drop by as much as 60% by 2050.
Wow, 60%, that's huge. But why? What's driving this reduction? Is it changes in the way wastewater is treated?
It's actually simpler than that. The reduction isn't about the wastewater treatment itself, it's about the energy these plants use.
Ah, okay, so as the grid gets cleaner, the electricity they use to run their operations becomes cleaner too.
Exactly. It's kind of like a ripple effect. Cleaner energy in one sector leading to emissions reductions in a completely different sector.
That's pretty remarkable.
It is. And what makes this reduction especially important is that it's targeting what are called Scope 2 emissions.
Scope 2 emissions, remind me what those are again?
Sure. So those are the emissions that come from the energy a facility uses. Think the electricity that powers the pumps and machinery in a wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, got it. So basically, we're saying that as the grid gets cleaner, the Scope 2 emissions from wastewater treatment plants will automatically go down.
Exactly. And the study found that for these plants, Scope 2 emissions account for a pretty big chunk of their total emissions, about 43%, according to the study.
So almost half their emissions come from the electricity they use. Wow. That means they could achieve some serious emission reductions just by plugging into a cleaner grid,
Exactly. They wouldn't even have to invest in new equipment or anything.
which has got to be good news for their budgets too.
Absolutely. It really highlights how cost-effective clean energy transitions can be and how they can drive positive change across various sectors, even ones we wouldn't normally think about.
It's like a hidden benefit of clean energy. We always hear about how it's good for the environment, which it obviously is, but this shows that it can also have a huge impact on other industries, like making wastewater treatment cleaner and more efficient.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that the impact of a cleaner grid won't be the same everywhere.
What do you mean?
Well, the study found that the pace of change varies from region to region. Some areas are moving towards a clean grid much faster than others.
So some areas will see these benefits sooner than others.
Yeah, that's right. Like, take California, for instance. They've been really aggressive with their clean energy policies. So they're projected to see even bigger emissions reductions from their wastewater treatment plants than the national average.
So California is kind of leading the way in terms of showing what's possible with clean energy and its wider impacts.
Precisely. They're a great example of how strong policies can really accelerate this transition.
But that means there are other areas, maybe where fossil fuels are still a big part of the energy mix, where the transition might be a little slower.
Right. Regions like the Ohio Valley and the Rockies, for example, rely pretty heavily on fossil fuels. Their grids are still quite dirty compared to places like California. So the wastewater treatment plants in those areas will likely face a tougher time getting those emissions down.
So they'll probably need to look at other strategies beyond just relying on a cleaner grid.
Exactly. They might need to think about things like energy efficiency upgrades, maybe even on-site renewables.
Okay, interesting. So we've got this national trend towards a cleaner grid that's going to benefit wastewater treatment, but the pace of change will vary, and some regions will need to get a little more creative to see those benefits.
That's a good summary. And on top of that, there's this really interesting thing the study highlighted: biogas.
Biogas, no, that's a whole other topic. What's the connection there?
Well, the study suggests that wastewater treatment plants in the U.S. could be doing a lot more with biogas than they currently are.
Biogas. That's the renewable energy source produced from wastewater, right?
You got it. And the study found that we're only scratching the surface of its potential.
Huh. So there's a huge opportunity there for wastewater treatment plants to not only benefit from a cleaner grid, but also contribute to it by producing more of their own clean energy.
Right. It's almost like
A double win.
yeah, exactly, a double win. And it's actually even better than that because a cleaner grid can actually make it easier for these plants to utilize biogas.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. How does a cleaner grid tie into biogas?
Think of it this way: as the grid gets cleaner, the cost of electricity from renewable sources tends to go down, right?
Oh.
So that makes it more affordable for wastewater treatment plants to invest in the infrastructure they need to capture and use biogas effectively.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about the biogas itself. It's about having access to affordable, clean electricity that can then make those biogas investments more feasible.
Exactly. It's like this positive feedback loop. A cleaner grid enables more biogas production, and then the biogas contributes to an even cleaner grid. They reinforce each other.
It's like a win-win-win situation. Clean energy helps wastewater treatment plants help clean energy. It's amazing to see how these seemingly separate things are actually all connected.